Go.
Okay, so we're group 3 today, and we're going to do something a little different than education in China and America, like the first two groups. But we have technology and transportation in the future by 2050. And so I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the types of the technology or transportation we're going to talk about. First one is going to be trains. Second one will be planes. Moving to cars, because that's obviously a huge one. Teleportation is actually one that Mr. Lobot kind of mentioned to us that could be there in 2050, so we want to kind of talk about that. And the fifth one will be submarines and boats. And so what to expect in 2050 with our technology. I'm just going to talk about a little bit about a few prime examples. The new features of our designs of planes, cars, all these different vehicles are going to be modernized to the future, as you can see here in a couple of these pictures. Just a little different design. And not only mentioned in the inside of all these vehicles are going to be completely revolutionary to what we have right now. Which we'll get into a little bit later. The inside of a car and plane these days can almost create their own Wi-Fi, so it's like a way for the consumer to connect to the vehicle, and I just can't imagine what we'll have later on in the future. And so, the next one would be quicker travel, and this is the most important one to me, because I think everyone wants to get to point A to point B just as quickly as they can. That's the goal of transportation. And so they're working on making faster trains, faster planes, just things around that, and all while doing it safely. And so the third one would be more advanced operating systems. It's basically like throwing in computers into vehicles now. They're getting so advanced that pretty soon we'll have cars driving themselves or planes flying themselves, things like that. For the next one, new power sources. This one's actually really interesting for me. Dad owns a solar company. Solar power and along with electric power that we have right now are, I think, two of the main next steps for technology. And they can control cars, planes, all those, just by the power they have. And then I mentioned at the end the flying car era. We don't exactly know what's going to happen in 2050 with technology yet, but we can kind of guess that flying cars have been part of movies. People expect them to show up in the future, so that's what our guess is. And so I'm going to talk about trains. I'll start. So in the United States, we don't have too big of a passenger train setup as other countries such as like Europe and Asia. Those are mostly, they have passenger trains more than we have here. So just a little bit about them. We have, most of them are geared towards speed and safety. That's what all the new advancements are kind of trying. And also they want to have we have trains that don't have people driving them now, just sit behind computers. And I think they're going to work towards just completely doing that with no conductors. So it's cheaper and more efficient. So the picture on the right here is actually of one of the world's fastest trains. It's called the Maglev. And basically it was built in Japan. So again, with Japan having an upside on that compared to us. It's called the Maglev, and it uses magnetic force to basically glide and stay on the tracks. So it can have speeds up to like 243 miles per hour compared to slower trains. So it's just a faster, more efficient way to travel there, especially over in Japan. And so the expectations of trains. For the first one, passengers expect better service in the future with granted level of access, no waiting really, smart ticketing, just simple things like that will be so much easier because of the technology we'll have. And then for the number two, the rail services will focus on mainly the journey to get someone from point A to point B. And then for the next one, we have automated and driverless trains, which I already talked about a little bit, but that's going to be a huge part of the future, so it'll be quicker for them. And the last one, which I honestly think is one of the most important, is not just the trains of technology itself, but also the stations. Train stations are getting more advanced. It's easier for you to sit there and wait that short amount of time. More technology to be useful and used there. So that's about it. That's for trains.
Alright, so I'm going to talk about aviation, and actually the center of where technology and looking towards the future is in Europe, particularly France. And one of the companies that's really striving to hit goals by 2050 is Airbus. And what they're working on is three big things: more flights, fewer emissions, and quicker passenger journey times. And the reason they're doing this is because research is suggesting that you could probably cut down every flight by at least 13 minutes, which would save about 9 million tons of fuel, which is about 28 million CO2. And so they're also trying to, with cutting back on passenger time and stuff like that, what they're really working on is trying to make sure get everyone into their seats as quick as possible out of the gate, and let's just hit the tarmac and go. Instead of taking, I'm sure you guys have had it on flights where we're sitting, waiting, and then you're waiting for everyone to get their stuff in. Someone's complaining, that's just causing more time, and it's just a pain in the butt. They're trying to cut that down. And so another thing they did was in 2010 and 2012, their CEO and president, Fabrice Bergier, asked about 10,000 people each in both those around the world who've flown with Airbus before and who would be a passenger in 2050, what they really want in their experiences with flying, especially with Airbus. And the majority of the votes answers were, we want less time flying in the air, we want it to be more fun, cheaper, greener, and we also would like it to social media during flights. And so what they've already started to do, they've worked on a few of those. They're starting to allow people and work on ways that you can text and call while your flight's in progress. And they're also trying to cut down door-to-door time, like I said, because in another survey they did, about 40% of people said that it's stressful to go from door to door, from getting on the plane to getting off the plane. And that's usually people probably with small children or elderly people and stuff like that. And so why are they really doing this? Well, because in another survey that they found out was about 63% of people worldwide say they'll be flying by 2050. And also our world is becoming more and more advanced, and people need to be in more places in less time.
Okay, what will we be driving in the year 2050? Or better yet, what will be driving us? There are hundreds of concept and prototype technological advances being tested for future use in passenger cars. The Western world seems to be working hard to be the first to perfect these future cars. Laws are already being altered to allow the use of driverless cars in America. And although a fully equipped and completely driverless car may not be perfected by 2050, the steps to get there will influence every new car that is made in between. Some of the things that are changing, the GPS mapping technology. The cars will be equipped with rangefinder, which uses laser tech. It'll scan the terrain and receive data on temp, weather, and other factors. 3D maps created and compared to databases of high-resolution maps. It'll offer real-time data of terrain, traffic, and road structure changes. Some safety would be crash preventative sensors around the entire exterior. Exterior airbags are being tested, and constant GPS tracking and constant data collection prevent thievery. Okay. Travel experience, open and spacious interior, the time saved and productivity, increase passengers' hands-free to work, visit, or just enjoy the sights. The windows will also have interactive touch screens. Our cars in 2050 will have some of these features implemented slowly through time. Cars will be safer and more efficient. The world shares the endeavor and have been all around working for the perfect car. So what can we expect to see? Some pretty futuristic cars by 2050, even if they aren't completely driverless.
Okay, so with teleportation now in the Netherlands, there is small progress. Most scientists being able to teleport a particle at 0.2 seconds, and while that doesn't sound like impressive, it's baby steps to what can be accomplished in a few years. There's nothing in the laws of physics that prevents humans from being able to teleport at some point in the future. Who knows, the person who comes up with this solution may be sitting in this very room. The ability to teleport, however, will have risks, just like every science experiment or invention created. The biggest question is who's going to be willing to try this. And Dr. Mary Jacqueline Romero from the School of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Glasgow said that teleporting a person atom by atom will be very difficult, but perhaps developments in chemistry or molecular biology will allow us to do it more quickly. So they've found a way for reliable teleportation so far, but it's only been done with electrons. And the human body is made up of many atoms, so we're going to have to work more on that. Scientists are saying that beaming teleportation teletransportation would be the mode of transportation for the human society. And because of the huge technical challenge, that's why people are apprehensive to try it. But 2050 is a long time from now, and the advancements in technology can definitely turn this small experiment into an actual form of travel.
So when it comes to submarines, there's not a whole lot to go on because the military kind of controls that whole dilemma. So, but they've released two things to the media, and that's the concept art of what they expect to have in the year 2050. So this right here, the first picture, is what they want to be what they call mothership, and on this other picture here is what they want to call a drone. So they want the drones to be unmanned vehicles they can control from the mothership. And the mothership's going to be around the size of 20 football fields long and about 8 football fields wide. That gives you a little better understanding of how big this thing is. And where they want these, what they want these drones to do is to, when you're in warfare, they want them to, scout because they're a lot smaller. They're a lot more, unlikely to be detected. They're messing with these new stealth technology, new sonar equipment. And so they're putting all this stuff in these drones. And so they've already kind of calculated the price range for each of these drones, and it's around $12 million each. So you kind of get an understanding of how much these things really are. Anyway, they haven't really said much about it, but from what they have released, this mothership isn't just meant for the sea. It's also meant for quick getaways in the sky. It goes up in the sky and becomes hovercraft type vehicle. And then the future is just around the corner. So to sum up everything that they've said, this isn't very educational, but it's a really cool topic to get into because not many people have really gone over this. And so who knows what the future's going to hold. We're going to have flying cars. Hopefully. That's it.